It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Muriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Alaja. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Nima Akasha Zibiri. Let me announce you. Nima Akasha Zibiri.
There's a ring to it. Yesterday, I read the story of a building burning at Mautu. It was supposedly a 3-story, but this morning when I got there, it was about a 4-story building. And by this morning, the fires were still burning.
Whoa!
At Mautu bus stop. Access road is easy. Everything is easy. The worst that can happen is cause the traffic for other road users, but stop the fire.
Maybe they didn't announce to the authorities.
All of us were now stopping to make videos. They announced. Gatekeeper News carried it. That's there's online news. And
no, there's 727 now. There's the numbers.
The trucks was there. LRU truck was there for response. The fire truck was there. And I did not see water flying into the building. And there was live fire still burning. And people were just looking in. I read the story last night. I didn't expect to meet it this morning. It had caused a bit of traffic. But I didn't expect to see the fire fresh this morning. I expect that we have the machinery and the things that we need to quell fire. But that's from me. The report. People made videos there this morning. The kind of fire
that they cannot use water.
The building is still standing. The fire is within the building.
I'm sure we can get the authorities to call and to let us know what's going on, what happened. I'm sure there's a reason for that.
Painful, yes.
How are you doing, Mariam? I really love your dress.
Oh, thank you.
And the earrings, everything just...
Oh, thank you.
Please tell me I'm going somewhere.
Kiko.
Okay. Kiko. You guys call it Kiko?
No, Kiko. That's what they call it in Lagos.
Kiko with thread.
Kiko Mimi.
Actually,
Kiko.
It's a Yoruba word. Kiko.
Kiko. I know now.
Yes.
They thread it.
Yes.
Nice.
Very nice, honestly. This is the second time I'm doing Kiko, and I really like it. So one thing with just doing, regular hair, Nigerian hairstyles or African hairstyles, is just the versatility for me. I mean, different looks, different times, and different styles, then you look different. So there's just a lot to be said for our traditional hairstyles, and we should explore it more. Yes.
Yeah, nice. How are you doing, Obiajulu?
I'm doing great. I've been coming up with short videos on different topics regarding to seeking personal development, self-help. I just, do those short videos after the show and I post them on my page. And people have been reaching out to me like, this one has helped me, that one has helped me. I'd like you to coach me on certain aspects. There's somebody that spoke to me yesterday and she was like, she's about to get married. She's a mentee, and we haven't spoken for a while, and she just got the ring, and it will be happening next year, February. Wow. I'm so excited for her. And she said she's looking for clarity. She's suddenly feeling confused. She feels like she's no longer doing what she used to do, and she's now likely to be dependent on the husband, that she really needed coaching. So I said, yeah, book your classes, so let's get to it. Because I understand where your mind is. You finally met your ideal person, and then you're relaxed. You're no longer, having that drive to pursue life and chase the things you want. So she needs to get up on her feet because you'll be relocating soon. So I told her, if you don't stabilize before you travel, when you get there, Canada is not like Nigeria. So you need to get yourself.
Gotta work, man.
Yeah, gotta work.
Gotta work to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still chill and,
Yes, if the guy has money, you can't, but do something. Bring something to the table.
It's
very important.
That's good.
Work
nice.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, actually.
Yes, I love your outfit.
Yeah, I've never shown my arms on TV before.
They are lovely.
So it's very daring this morning.
Nima is not smiling.
It's like, I don't know. I don't even know. I need to do, of course, I need to lose some weight, but I think I also need to appreciate that, listen, guys, let us appreciate who we are. And
why do you need to lose some weight?
Yeah.
Why?
I choose. I
want to have your weight.
See, I choose to want to lose some weight. But however, in that journey, I'm happy in this journey. So it's like it's a journey towards it. And as I'm going to that journey, I'm still loving my body the way
I want
it is.
to gain some weight.
You know what? You have unlocked a big secret. If you're not able to appreciate and love your body at whatever stage it is, you're unable to get to the stage that you want to get. So,
exactly.
So you're in a good place.
Well, you are in a good place, and I want to be like you. I want to add some weight.
Okay, we'll exchange. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we go to the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
We're going to start with the main headline. Governors, Malami's role in Paris Club brief on suspect. Naiti to unveil 77 oil firm status in 2.6 trillion naira tax arrears. Ondo screens 3,000 civil servants over age falsification. NDA attack, Air Force surgeon snapped in Yola. Maina jailed 8 years for 2 billion naira pension theft. 5G network is not hazardous, says NCC. And picture here of the notable editor and now Nigeria's ambassador to Thailand, Ambassador Omar Jeba. He was presenting his letters of credence to His Majesty the King of Thailand. Okay, which story major headline?
So the governors' forum are upset at the impatience of the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice for the Federation in resolving these issues that they have with the consultants over the Paris Club reform. They are insisting that this arrangement was done in 2005, and the Attorney General, even though the monies are being disputed, is behaving in such a way as if he must, out of urgency, settle the consultants. And even though they had, staged a sort of protest by rejecting last month's allocation from the federal account, in protest saying that these monies, when they are taken, will deny the states involved of important funds that they need for important developments across the states. But the behavior of the Attorney General, again, in giving out the promissory note to those consultants and trying to do what they consider not in favor of them in resolving the issues, of course, is suspect. And they have used the platform calling Nigerians to be watchful, saying Nigerians should look out and all of that.
Right.
But, we've taken the story from beginning. Yeah. And in one of the papers, we are taking it that this was as a result of an out-of-court settlement that the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance is trying to propose with these consultants who have a court judgment in their favor. Right. I hope that all parties will be able to resolve this. And the consultants, too, should be able to make some sacrifices.
Right. Yeah,
so, yes, sergeant in the Nigerian Air Force, his name is Tosabo Solomon. He's been arrested in connection with the NDA attack that happened in August. He was arrested in Yola, Adamawa State. So he's serving there with the Air Force Comprehensive School. Details of his connection to that attack was not given in this report, but he was quickly arrested and taken immediately to Kaduna State. And, well, it's good to see that investigations are still ongoing, and that the military is definitely on it. I would really love to see the end of it, who these people were. Right. Remember that story? 2 senior officers were killed. Some were abducted, some were left with gunshot wounds. And, we blamed everyone, and to think that maybe there might be a connection within the Air Force, that's scary.
We need to say that. So, Ondo State government have started screening over 3,000 civil servants for alleged age falsification, alteration of their documents, and increasing their wage bill. They also invited 400 workers of the 18 local governments to submit their credentials for verification. So they started this screening, and they found out that people who had traveled abroad were still receiving salaries. Other people have been suspected to be receiving double salaries. People who have relocated are receiving salaries. Those people who are supposed to be retired are still being paid salaries. So the government is saying that it's even an embarrassment that they cannot pay every worker. And so they need to carry out this screening. They've been invited. They are going to be providing their certifications. They will check the discrepancies in their name, in their age. And they're saying it's not a witch hunt. It's not because they want to lay people off. But if you are caught that you're not supposed to be receiving salaries, that means you're not supposed to be working there, and you will be laid off. But they are retaining people who are legitimate in that office.
Yeah, that's the problem with the people. We are the ones siphoning manipulating the system. So the chairman of the Joint Communications Committee in the National Assembly, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, was asking NCC concerning revenue and safety of the 5G network. So NCC was saying very clearly that they project to generate 632 billion naira in 2022. And they can remember they were building, I think, one of these major telecoms companies, certain amount of billions for the 5G network spectrum. So they're also saying that there's nowhere that there's no medical evidence from the WHO indicating any harmful effect of the spectrum on health of the people. So he was just reassuring the committee that the 5G network is safe and is not hazardous to anybody's health.
It's not.
I need to end time.
I didn't want to say that.
She's talking
I didn't
about
want to
end
say
time.
that.
Look, I thought end time was a Christian matter. I didn't realize that Muslims talk about end time.
What was common now? We had when
end time was a Christian phenomenon. I didn't know the... Okay. The Punch. Governors attack Malami over the $418 million consultants fee. I think Nima took that story earlier. Picture again of the Air Force officer arrested over deadly attack on NDA. 40-year-old Ogun butcher arrested over lover's death after sex. Kwara barred from UBEC fund over the $1 billion looting by ex-government. Industrialist Owabunwa declares presidential ambition on PDP platform. Ikoyi building collapse. Subscribers signed over $500,000 contract each. Cooking gas price jumps to 240%. Marketers halt importation. Uncertainty hangs over new PDP leadership as Secondus approaches Supreme Court. And the $2.3 billion theft EFCC customs clash on custody as Maina bags 61-year imprisonment. Okay, let's start with the human interest story.
Yes, so 48-year-old butcher Shegu Taiwo has been arrested by the men of Ogun State Police Command for the death of his 50-year-old mistress, Abimbola Olushola. So according to the story, when the investigation started, he said that his wife traveled, and so he invited his mistress over to the house. And just after they had sex, she fell sick and slumped and died. And out of fear, he took her and left her by the side of the road. So people saw that and made a report to the police station, and they traced it back to him. He's been arrested, and he confessed that he couldn't do anything about it because he was afraid. So investigations are still ongoing. The woman has been taken to the mortuary.
Okay.
So Kwara State, according to the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, in 2013, ex-administrations of Kwara State, according to him, now I'm quoting him carefully, was given 1 billion naira as UBEC funds, which they stole. And that since then, the state was barred from assessing UBEC funds for education. And that they can clearly see from the history of Kwara State and the facilities in their schools that there was no investment of funds in education at all. And that in 2019, the UBEC started forcing the former administrations to pay back that money, and that they still have about 450 million unpaid. That they have cleared that bill and they are able to access funds now. I'm just worried that, if they have these facts, I'm not going to talk about the politics that was in that report as well, but if they have these as facts, and this will, of course, have affected the development of children in that state, somebody should be pushing for a proper prosecution rather than playing politics with that comment.
So, still in Kwara State, there's a private tertiary institution, Thomas Adewumi University, Oko, in Kwara State, and has inaugurated a 214-kilowatt solar farm to serve its energy needs. But the school says it actually just needs about 56 kilowatts, so they would also be distributing the rest to the neighboring communities there. Amazing story. Yes. So they're saying that they hope that this would, open doors of opportunities for training and job opportunities for people.
Right.
And for me, that is what I like to see universities do. Just to understand, when we talk about deregulations, you can deregulate in different ways, and this is an important step.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're moving on now to Daily Sun. Paris Club deductions, governors furious with Malami. Anambra, INEC holds supplementary elections in Ihiala today. Collapsed building, Lagos Assembly seeks compensation for bereaved families. Drama in Imo as lawmakers impeach speaker, reinstate sacked deputy. Obasanjo, Sultan, others raise the alarm over failing education. Nigeria facing new dimensions of threats, says Defense Minister. Okay, which story are we taking? Nima? Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I think they formed Quorum Shah, had 19 members out of the 27 members of the House of Assembly impeached their speaker. Sadly, this is the third speaker to be elected within 2 years, in less than 2 years. And according to them, the former speaker was found to have been accused of anti-party activities, withholding members' allowances, illegal suspension of 6 members. The former speaker was said to have, also incurred the right of the House as he hurriedly impeached his deputy with a few of the deputy's allies. And this new speaker came into office saying, we must work with the cooperate with the governor of the state. And that, for me, worries me. This is a house that should be independent of the governor, be able to do their oversight duty, which is, of course, to check the activities of the executive well and in total, and be able to summon freely either the governor or commissioners of the governor, appointees of the governor when necessary, when anything that affects the interest of the citizens of the state. But they don't say we should cooperate.
Okay, so yes, the former president of our country, Olusegun Obasanjo, and the Sultan of Sokoto were recently represented at the unveiling of a book called Evolution of Day Secondary School in Nigeria. And the former president says that secondary school education is so important, and it's the bridge between, primary and tertiary, and also determines how far a person can go, education-wise. So it's important that the quality of our education is improved. And he had a lot to say about this particular book in a way that it would encourage history to be taught, and that a country that does not read his history will lose its identity. And the Sultan of Sokoto, who was represented by the Emir of Wase, was saying that parents need to do more in making sure that they help groom their children and encourage them to study better. So this education thing is something that is being now, the conversation is being held constantly and consistently, because whether we like it or not, many of the vices that we're facing now as a country has a lot to do with what our children are doing as they're growing up in their developmental stages. Where are we putting them? What are we teaching them? How are we preparing them for the world to come?
Right. Yeah. And if you don't know where you're coming from, you wouldn't know where you're going to. So the Lagos State House of Assembly are asking Babajide Sanwo-Olu to compensate families of the victims of the collapsed 21-story building in Ikoyi. They are also saying that they have to direct all relevant agencies to ensure that requirements for the buildings as stipulated in the laws of the states must be adhered to and followed through. The House is also, they said they are worried that the state has recorded series of building collapse. There was one that happened in Lekki, 5-story building, November 2006. Another one happened in Itafaji on the island. That happened in 2016. And they're saying that this is as a result of unqualified or unskilled builders, lack of standard materials, illegal conversion or alteration. So after the building has been done, people still go back and add several things without getting the proper documentation for it. And we need to ensure that the laws are followed, and people who do not follow the laws will be punished severely.
Let me quickly add that the builders of the Ikoyi building, that's this Gerald building, were given a directive, according to the Vanguard, they were given a directive by the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, which included that they must ensure, because they have a law in Lagos State that requires anybody taking a building beyond 2-story to ensure constructions workers, to ensure that building while under construction. Right. And that there's a law also that, for non-compliance, negates a building permit, immediately voids that building permit if you do not do that insurance. And that this was given to the builders, but they did not follow through.
All right, moving on quickly now to Vanguard. Tension as supplementary poll holds in Ihiala today. Paris Club refund, governors accuse Malami for supporting consultants against states. Drama as ex-pension boss Maina gets 8 years in jail for money laundering. 15 die in Niger and Bauchi auto crashes. Food security now a national threat. Collapsed building, how developer ignored directive to insure. We just talked about that. And compromised safety standards go to jail. Governor Abiodun wants building officials.
Yes, so
reactionary. Yes.
We are still on the governorship elections in Anambra State. INEC is saying that they are ready to conduct a free and fair supplementary election today in Ihiala local government area of the state. They said everything has been put in place for a smooth conduct of the election. They said the challenges they had with the bimodal voter accreditation system will not arise today. They have sorted that out. They said security is equally prepared to not just protect the people in Ihiala local government, but across the state as well. There were reports that there were multiple attacks on journalists and even election observers all the way from Abuja by Ihiala youths in Okija. But they are saying that they are going to deploy security and probably will not have that problem again today. Then the Defense Minister, General Bashir Magashi, is talking about the insecurity in the country, and he said that the insecurity has assumed a new dimension, and this is as a result of the several calls by secessionist groups. He said it's affecting our food production, and that's why prices are going up, because in different aspects of the economy, there are different, the nature of the insecurity comes in different ways, and he mentioned, like in the northeast, he says it's Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists that are disturbing them. Then the northwest and north central is bandits, armed headers, militia attacks, and kidnappers. In the southwest and the southeast, he said illegal bunkering and militancy, and also the issue of secessionist group and IPOB. And so we need to have an understanding of the geographical context to be able to solve this problem of insecurity. He said we need to also, when we sort out the problems of the insecurity, we will now have a condition, there's this, a conducive environment to be able to attract foreign direct investment, and that's the only way that our economy would grow. And so all agencies need to work in collaboration.
Let's say one more story, Ivan.
Yeah, just quickly, Governor of Ogun State is warning, warning you people that work with contractors, state officials of state government or contractors. It says anyone indicted for compromising standards in erecting structures and threatening life and property will be jailed. He says that I'm coming up with a law that will send workers in the building industry to prison. Workers in these agencies responsible for building control are susceptible to taking bribes. I'm going to ensure that there's something in our law that will send the head of building control agency to prison if a building collapses in Ogun State. I know when you took the headline, you were saying reactionary. It may be, but it's important that state governors and whoever, those particular sectors in the economy are aware of what the implications, yes, what the implications are and what the consequences should be. And yes, we should start looking at the law to make it more punitive than just, I think most times it's fines, you know, you give these people, it has to be punitive to send a message, really.
And it should show that they're learning from this experience.
Exactly, yes.
Final paper, Daily Trust, pensioners chair as Maina backs 61 years imprisonment. The story of not taking. Nigeria's IDP figure to hit 3 million, says federal government. IGR, Lagos leads as FCT beats Rivers, Kano, and 33 others. Okay, so I actually have that story. Okay. Lagos State is leading the internally generated revenue. I think this was given, there's a total sum of 612.8 billion revenue generated by all the various states. No, that's the wrong figure. 849.1 billion naira was internally generated by all the states across the federation in 2020. And Lagos State was leading the pack by generating 267 billion, and then followed by FCT with 69 billion naira, and then Rivers State 57 billion. So when Lagos State is asking for special status, you know why. All right, that's all we can take on front page review. When we return, this Maina, we skipped it in the papers, it's our hot topic, because Nigerians are saying somebody possibly stole, definitely, that is convicted, 2 billion naira. And he gets 8 years. What are your thoughts? Is this good enough? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, yesterday, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja convicted and sentenced the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Team, PRTT, Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, to 8 years in prison for money laundering. Now, before I even bring in our guest, because we have a guest on the show too, from EFCC, I'll let Mariam tell us, for those of you who have no idea who is Maina, what he did, what this is about. Let Mariam give us the facts of this case. Mariam, go ahead, please.
Yes, so thankfully, Daily Trust was able to give us pictorial depictions, so it's easier for us to understand. So in 2011, Abdulrasheed Maina, appointed as Chairman Presidential Tax Team on Pension Reforms. In 2012, he was accused of fraud amounting to over 100 billion. He also failed to appear before the Senate committee investigating the alleged fraud. In 2013, Maina sued the Senate, IGP, and others to stop his arrest. He later went into hiding. Maina was declared wanted by EFCC. Earlier, he was dismissed by the office of the head of the civil service from his position as PRTT chairman. Then in 2015, EFCC charged Maina, Steve Orosaye, and 2 others to court, but Maina did not appear in court with others. Then October 2017, he was secretly reinstated as director in the Ministry of Interior, but President Buhari ordered the reversal of that reinstatement. EFCC launched fresh manhunt for him. In 2019, EFCC rearranged Maina on fresh charge of 738.6 million naira contract scam at the FCT court. December 2020, Maina collapsed at the Federal High Court. October 2021, Maina's son was sentenced to 24 years in prison. November 2021, Maina, as we know, was convicted of 2.1 billion naira fraud.
So thanks for that. So with all that has happened, we're going to be discussing your thoughts on the sentence. But before we do that, we're going to bring in our guest. He is Mr. Habibu Adamu Aliyu. He is the former head EFCC pension fraud special team. He specializes in forensic investigation and financial crime intelligence analysis. He's the lead prosecution witness of the EFCC in all 13 pension fraud cases pending before various courts, including the Maina's case. Welcome, sir, to the show. Thanks for joining us. So, Nigerians, many pensioners were happy that finally they've gotten a conviction. However, some people are still with the belief that it's still not a good enough sentence for it's not commensurate with the crime that has been committed. What are your thoughts on this? I know you're not a lawyer, but what are your thoughts on this?
Our thoughts on this is it's within the discretion of the court to impose the sanctions it imposed on convicts, and we have no problem with that, honestly. And what comes out of the judgment is novel. It's one of the best interpretation of the Money Laundering Act, because we are able to establish how he operated anonymous accounts, how he induced officers of the bank to open an account anonymously, how he was receiving stolen funds. So it was really a stamp on the quality of work that we did. So I'm apparently very happy with the outcome of the court decision.
Right. Go ahead.
The judgment was given to run concurrently for 8 years, a 61-year judgment. Is this due to how the charge was done, or, just based on the discretion of the judge?
No, yeah, it was arraigned for a 12-count charge. So each of the counts has its own penalty and sentence. So the sentence ranges from 2 years imprisonment to a maximum of 8 years in prison. So cumulatively, he's sentenced over 61 years in prison. But he has to run concurrently, because that's what the law says.
Okay, sir. A few times we've seen where they've been corrupt officials have been sentenced and they're able to go back to court, appeal the case, and they go out or have the sentence reduced. What makes it possible for them to do that? And in this case, is it likely to happen?
So we are very sure of the quality of investigation, and the pronouncement of the court is novel. So we are very sure of what we did, and we can defend it even at the appellate court.
Okay.
Okay, sir. For me, Maina is a very powerful Nigerian, and we know that he has the ability to pull some strings. In your opinion, in all sincerity, do you think this sort of short sentence is commensurate to the act that was committed? And do you think it will deter other people from committing this?
Yeah, commensurate is honestly a relative term, and I don't want us to deny the fact that the court has on its discretion to enforce the sentence in court. And honestly, I'm okay with the sentence because I'm looking at 61 years. He's convicted for 61 years, but the law says has to run it concurrently. That's one. Number two, all the assets established have been pursued by his money laundering. It has been forfeited to the federal government. One of the houses is worth $2 million. The second house is worth $1.4 million. So it's really committed, and he has to now respond about over $2 billion back to the federal government proper. So at least there is enough deterrence to deter others from doing such kind of.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. I think I'll let you go at this point.
I wanted to ask quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, can you confirm to us where he's been remanded right now? Because yesterday, immediately after conviction, we noticed that there was a bit of confusion as to who would take custody of him following for his detention. Is he with the EFCC now or in the prisons as expected that he should be?
In the lawful custody of the Nigerian Prison Service, there was a communication gap. What was normally obtained in the past is whenever there is a conviction, EFCC normally conveys the convict to the prison authority. Because mostly either the convict accused was on bail or it was EFCC that brought him to court. So in this instance, he was in the lawful custody of the Nigerian prison on the order of the court because he jumped bail. So in this instance, the communication gap was between the EFCC officials and the prison authority. They could have, which we were able to resolve there and then in court. So he was in the lawful custody of the Nigerian Correctional Service.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing this with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So now we'd like to open our phone lines to Nigerians. We'd like to call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'd like to hear your thoughts on this sentence because we're trying really hard to stop corruption. We're trying really hard. I said corruption is fighting back. But we see other countries that have tried to significantly reduce corruption, and we see that they've had more stringent measures against things like this. So based on the law, I mean, it seems like no matter how bad the crime is, you can't do more than 14 years. It's looking like that's the worst case scenario. I mean, somebody did 24 years, Mina's son. I wonder what that was about. But it's more like you can't really get that extreme measure. Now, Nigerians will see that, okay, justice has been served because people have died waiting for their pensions that this man has stolen. What are your thoughts on this?
You want to go?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So Mina's son was arraigned for being in possession of firearms. He put a pistol upon the authorities when they tried to arrest his father upon their return before he jumped bail and went to Niger at the time. But for me, there's so much that our lawmakers need to do. They need to be reacting to the pulse of the people. You know, this has been on since 2011 when he was appointed, you know, and the trials and the number of times he jumped bail, he moved in a very, very gangster style out of the country. He lived large. He jumped bail and he had his shorty arrested, a whole sitting senator. And we should have laws, aside the drama around him, that reflects strong punitive measures against certain activities. So for him, he diverted pensioners' money. And while the matter was going on, a lot of pensioners died waiting for their pension. We would expect that our lawmakers were already preempting that, you know, finally this person will come before the law. We don't want them to be coming before the law in a way that our laws are not going to be punitive enough. So the maximum jail term that they can give for the offense that he was tried is 14 years. Okay,
let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take more phone calls and talk about this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on this Maina issue. Let me come to BC, because I've not heard your thoughts on this. Nigerians, oh yeah, Mary wanted to go first. I'm sorry.
No, she wanted
I mean, your thoughts on the sentences. So I hear the part of the law. Yes, there's only so much years you can sentence a man in this kind of situation. But Nigerians feel like, some Nigerians feel like justice is yet to be served if they compare to the fact that their parents have died waiting for them for money from the government. So in your view, do you think this is fair enough?
I think this is not fair at all to every Nigerian. And I want to start with what the judge said. So according to him, he said, this is to send a message to those who are in the act to have a rethink, but added that he could not impose the maximum sentence of 14 years allowed for the offense in the view of the plea by Maina and his lawyer. And in Maina's lawyer's defense, he said, he told the court that his client was obviously remorseful, and he begged the court to temper justice with mercy in passing judgment. He said that they made some bad decisions, which the court has adjudged him guilty. But as a human being, he's not infallible, and none of us is. And so they are asking for a second chance, that he's the breadwinner of his large family and is battling serious illness. This were, what the lawyer presented. The judge now said the convict is harmless. And after all of that, he still went back to 8 years instead of the 14 years maximum that at least would have even made Nigerians feel, okay, there's a form of justice. So that's my grouse with the justice system. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's all over the world. The judge has the discretion to whether go further or just stay within the limits based on the evidence presented to him. So as a powerful person in Nigeria, you've committed a crime, but you're able to buy a very good lawyer who will stand in court and defend you. You will likely get away with it, or just get very minimal sentence that will not be commensurate to the action or the crime that you have committed. And this is one of the reasons why people feel, why do I have to go to court when I can take laws into my hands? Because they don't feel like the court is, powerful enough to give justice. They would have a way to, make it smoother with considering human rights and not, okay, we can't just kill and all of that. But for me, as a country, if we are really serious about dealing with corruption, we have to take the way of some other countries that have said, if we catch you doing this, it's a death sentence. We just cut you off. And that will be, serve as deterrence for other people who are looking to, because if you feel that after how many years, even if I give them some of my, if I forfeit some of my properties to the federal government, I still have some that are hidden in other countries and other places. And I will get back on my feet after a few years. And we know that VIPs in the prison, we have heard, VIPs in the prison, they don't really stay. From the prison, they go to parties. From the prison, they have people coming. There's this special treatment given to them. So what's the essence?
Well, see, sometimes, Mariam, we don't understand what pension means. Maybe we need to even define what pension, because not somebody else going to steal money. This is somebody's sweat. You've worked for 30-some years, and you kept it in the custody of the government. And somebody has access to these funds and steals it.
So for me, this is the part I want to talk about Nigerians, you and I. Thing is, with pension, is, like all of us here, we're working hard. In your youth, you have strength, and you're putting money towards your retirement age. When you're in your 60s, you're not able to do much. My mom just retired like a year ago, and that she's able to have access to something that comes to her monthly gives me joy. I know she'll be able to pay some hospital bills. She has no rent to pay. She's not paying school fees, but enough to just take care of her. She's not asking for much. I'm just talking about a regular who was a nurse. She's not even asking for much. Just enough to just live a nice, quiet, decent life. That's all she's asking for. And to find someone, to hear that there's one person who will take that away from her, and millions of Nigerians, because they can, because someone signed them and approved them to be in an office. So his sentence has been reviewed because first of all, they said he has some illness, he has some tumors, he has a large family. But this is a man, so let's say, okay,
he's a human being.
Let's even listen. Maybe he was desperate and he had to take care of his family. Does he need bulletproof cars? Choice of properties in Dubai? Does he need to live in such affluence? Is that what he's needing? So that's why I don't understand the mercy. This is not a person who is looking to put some money together to help his overwhelming
family problems.
Yes, family problems. This is someone who just wants to live in luxury, in affluence that he did not work for, that he does not deserve. You see, many times when people in government are caught, you have some people say, hey, leave her for us. We are forgiving him. Is it not our money? We too, it's our turn. It's national cake. The truth is that for everything that we do, for every action, there's a consequence. Behind the miners stealing of billions of naira, pensioners holding placards, standing in the sun and the rain, falling ill. Maina is able to talk about malignant tumors that he has because he went to the hospital.
And they checked. Yes.
They are pensioners. They cannot even go to the hospital. So that's what we're talking about. And so when we hear that the judge said, okay, given this, then we'll give you 8 years, nearly the minimum, I just feel it's so
Let me take this call and hold it for a while. Tayo, are you there? Thanks for calling. Sorry for keeping you. Hello, Tayo. Hello, Tayo, are you there? Hello? I think I lost that call. Go ahead.
Okay, so justice is very, very important for people to find closure. But if it is any consolation, the judge ordered Maina and the second defendant, One Common Input Properties and Investment Limited, to refund 2.4 billion naira to the federal government. Also, he asked that there is 2 houses acquired from proceeds of this crime, situated in Jabi and Life Camp, Abuja, 2 vehicles, including a bulletproof SUV, a BMW 5 Series ordered to be sold, and the proceeds forfeited to the federal government, and, you know, hoping that this sends a message. But, you know, the time when Maina took the supposed 2 billion, the report originally was 100 billion. And since we don't agree that we spend dollar, the value of naira then was not this bad compared to that. So I would expect, that's why I want our lawmakers again to sit down. We cannot have the maximum sentence.
The point I'm making is a whole kind of wrong.
That's where I'm going.
It's a whole day show. Because these lawmakers, sometimes, they make a lot of arguments online, but in the House. But we need to remind them that many of these laws need to be reviewed.
They should be forward-thinking.
Forward-thinking and ensure.
You know, they should be forward-thinking, and also they should be feeling the pulse of the people. You know, the way Miriam just finished now. If you are any Nigerian at all, and are not privileged, that's your story.
You know, unfortunately, we have to wrap on this. We've lost our time on this, but I think generally, we're generally not happy about the fact that people can steal, because all of us cannot agree. Okay, let us steal money.
Let's just
no, if you have a very good lawyer, 8 years.
And that's not good enough. We need something more stringent, something more punitive, so that
something
people
more
know,
reassuring,
more
of
deterring,
justice.
that people can know that this is the
something more reassuring of people's nerves. Something more calming, those who have suffered.
That's all we can take on this. When we come back, it's Tuesday. We have quite a bit of health topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Joining us on the show to speak on the imperative of regenerative medicine in tackling some terminal diseases is a renowned regenerative medicine specialist in adult stem cell therapy and platelet-rich plasma therapy, geriatric medicine, Dr. David Ikudaisi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me on your show.
You can join us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be happy to read your messages. Dr. Ikudaisi, good to have you on the show. Now, regenerative medicine. Before we even go further into all the options available, what does it mean exactly? Tell us what regenerative means.
Well, regenerative medicine is a fairly new area of medicine that has been existing for close to 25 years.
Okay.
And that is the area of medicine that deals with using cells and tissue in the body to repair, restore, rejuvenate, and regenerate any damaged tissue or organs in the body back to normal functioning state.
So in plain English, can you say, so for example, you have a damaged heart or a damaged liver, you can move some cells to repair. Let I want Nigerians understand what you mean by that. Break it down.
All right. For example, let's say someone has maybe arthritis and they're in pain. They can use their own blood, harness the growth factors inside the blood, or there's what we call stem cells. That is, cells that can multiply and differentiate. We all have that. They're abundant in the fat in the stomach. Also, there's also stem cells in our bone marrow. So you can use the blood, the fat, or the bone marrow from your own body and then introduce it to anywhere there is damaged tissue. And then that will start healing itself.
Fantastic.
Okay, so is this a true event or is this... So I saw one time on TV where a man had cut his finger off, and they said doctors that were doing regenerative medicine found a way, and after a period of time, his finger grew back.
Yes.
So is that real or is that fake? Because when I saw it, I was like, is this real? How can a finger grow back? And they were like, look at it, it even looks newer and fresher than all the other fingers. So is that regenerative medicine or is that computer work?
Plastic surgery.
No. That is regenerative medicine. You are very correct. Not only will the finger grow back, the fingerprints at the tip of that particular savage finger will be restored.
The exact print.
Wait now. Wait now. So the finger is off.
Yes.
Not that they took that finger that's cut off and put it back and then stitched it maybe after adding the cells. But it grew from the injury.
Now, before we get too excited about that, the depth of the injury or the length of... Let's say, for example, the finger is kind of in 3 sections. If you bend, you can see, all right? So the distal or the extreme last part, if it's chopped up for whatever reason by mistake, you can regrow that finger. You put stem cells there. The stem cell will stimulate the regeneration of that part of the body. Actually, I like the way Mayo Clinic in US defines regenerative medicine. They call it a game-changing area of medicine that is offering solutions and hope for people who have conditions today that are beyond repair. So in other words, when your doctor tells you, deal with it for the rest of your life, those that are in regenerative medicine say that there's still hope.
There's still hope. But how accessible is this hope?
How much?
How affordable is this hope? Because it seems to me like it's a big man's hope. Big man's hope. How do you now start? I've watched a lot of movies when they talk about stem cells, and I know all the machines that are involved in this. Are you sure it's accessible to the common man?
You see, health is wealth. You cannot put price on anybody's life. So each family, each individual, we have to determine or decide what their priority is. The door is open to everyone. Yes, it's true that when things are new in medicine, they're always more expensive. But over time, the cost start gradually coming down.
Okay, let's take it to the issue of terminal diseases. My mother recently was diagnosed with cancer, and she passed on pancreatic cancer. Now, are you saying that in the case of terminal diseases, we can actually replace these failing cells? I mean, are we saying that there's a possibility that a terminally ill patient can get their life back?
For me to answer that, let me just mention one thing to clarify this quickly. In stem cell therapy, there are 3 types. Quickly, one is embryonic, which has ethical and religious issues. Nobody wants to be killing potential human beings. Most countries don't do that. The other one is as powerful as embryonic. They call it induced pluripotent stem cells. That is where you can take the white blood cells or even the skin, reprogram them, manipulate them, expand them, and then make them to target the cancer cells. Like early last year, US started a research whereby you can use the white blood cells, natural killers, to target cancer cells. That is possible. And also, to even make it easier or simpler, you can use your own fat, mix it to a vaccine, and then inject it directly into the solid tumor and the one with metastasis. That is tumor that has traveled far. And then it will shrink and it will disappear. And this is already going on in, although that is also in research stage, Nigeria could have also been able to get opportunity to jump on the line, but we do not have a vaccine that is needed to bring that into Nigeria. So that's the only reason why we couldn't go further.
So the research is still ongoing, but it's not yet finalized.
Yeah, for the cancer?
For the cancer.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot. I said there are 3. I only mentioned 2. Now, the third one is what is clinically safe, what is clinically available, and that is adult stem cell therapy. The adult is not about age. It's about fully formed human being, because earlier I said embryonic. That's potential human beings. So, but when it is fully formed, it's considered adult. So under that, you have the bone marrow, the fat-derived, you have the exosomes, and also you have the umbilical cord stem cell therapy.
Suddenly, fat is becoming important.
Let me clarify. The first time I heard about stem cell, I met a lady at the filling station. She took 1 hour of my time selling a product to me, supposedly a supplement that when I use it, if I have aged ones, I use it for them, their stem cell will just start to correct. So is it oral consumption of anything that, you know, that corrects, use the stem cells can start from them?
I get asked that question a lot. You're probably talking about the double stem cell, STC30, that is common. Those are plant-based products. I personally consider them more like a supplement. So I'm not saying that they're not going to work, but it's a supplement you take every day. In some people, you might be able to reduce the inflammation. But the adult stem cell therapy is the real stem cells from your own body. Because the way God created you, if you ever cut yourself on your skin sometime in the past, you put the pressure, you see to stop the bleeding. Then if you ever remember, you find like a yellow crunch around it immediately. Then the next day or two, it starts drying and closing. Okay, those are the regenerative process. So regenerative medicine now avoids the injury, the swelling, and but goes straight to regenerating any organ that is damaged. So that the science just have a way to harness what God has already put in our body and make it, you know, take up any issue.
Let me go on a break, because I'm even upset that you don't live in Nigeria, sir. Because we need more of these kinds of doctors who can help us, because there's a lot of people dying out there and there are options available outside the country, but we need more of these options in Nigeria. Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, during the break, we're talking about all the opportunities of STEM regenerative medicine. You're saying something about it. Somebody has stroke, they can get their speech back. Somebody, different diseases, you can actually walk again. Cerebral palsy can walk with regenerative medicine. That's good news for many parents and family members out there. Could you tell us how it works? I mean, for somebody that has a stroke or somebody who's undergoing cerebral palsy. Okay.
For example, when you have a stroke, that means there's deficiency of oxygen supply to your one part of your brain. So the brain cells are now programmed to die. We in medical call it apoptosis. So programmed cell death. Once the patient has been stabilized, if they cannot speak or they can't move their hand, what stem cells characteristics or ability include is they can reverse those death sentences. Within hours, by the next day, somebody who cannot speak during the acute phase will start speaking. Somebody who cannot move their hands will start moving. And then for things like cerebral palsy, that is not acute, or that's already been happening for many months or years. We call it chronic. So if you have a chronic stroke or you have cerebral palsy, you're going to need more than one treatment session to be able to continue to stimulate the brain to grow new cells and then multiply, then differentiate to replace the job of the dead ones. And so that's pretty much how it works. But when it is acute, when it's within 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, those brain cells are programmed to die. You can bring them back to life. That is just as simple as, and that is just one treatment. So you get a wow effect in acute stroke. You get one treatment. It's less expensive, but when it is old, you still get result because I have at the center where I work, then they have patients there.
Right.
You know.
So
Okay.
Sorry. Are they non-surgical procedures? Has to be surgical when you're doing this?
It is elective, non-invasive procedure. So there's no knife cut. We just use needle to access what I want, where I'm getting the stem cells from, or whoever is doing what I do. You know, we just use needles. Then when we come back, once we already separate the stem cells, we introduce it to wherever we need it. No cut.
So, sir, we're Nigerians, and my question is, do we have Nigerian doctors in Nigeria, in Nigerian hospitals who are already doing these things? And if we have, who have they, like, who are the patients that they have helped?
Cases.
And then is this regenerative medicine, is it 100% success rate? Or how does it work?
Okay. Now, starting with the last question, the success rate. If you go to Mayo Clinic website, they will give like 75 to 85%. At the center where I work, I would say we have close to 95, 97. And then the reason is also the doctor has to be able to identify who it may not work for, even though that is few percentage. And then that being said, I work at the center in Lekki, phase 1, whereby stem cell therapy or regenerative medicine procedures have been done. And this actually has been going on in Nigeria since 2014. So talking about Nigerians that have it, we have, I can't mention name, of course, but we have likes of ministers, the government ministers, who they don't mind. We have Governor Keys. We have retired. We have retired old grandmother in Ikorodu with acute strokes. So it's both for the rich, the middle, and the poor.
Wow. Man. So there are people doing this. Because, I mean, my father also had stroke. So I wish I had known about this because he would have probably be able to speak when he had stroke. But I have to wrap up, unfortunately. But we need to bring you back because the truth is that this is a fairly new type of medicine that people who know about it are using it. But many Nigerians are not aware that it is possible. Just like BC had said earlier, it is expensive right now. But eventually, we know that as more doctors go into this area, maybe to get more affordable going forward. But thank you very much, sir, for sharing. And any final words you'd like Nigerians to know about this regenerative medicine before we wrap up?
All right. Quickly, I don't want Nigerians to, have a lot of hype because of what is going on. Some tablets are being sold. Yes, it is true. Regenerative medicine, adult stem cell therapy can offer you hope and make impossible possible, but we all need to be cautious, keep the expectation low. But yes, a lot can be, achieved, and you don't have to travel abroad because all these are available in Nigeria.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Ooh, that's a lot to take
in.
We have to run. That is all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we're discussing fibroids. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're moving on to fibroid care. And on the show today, we'll be discussing fibroid in women. And joining us on the show is the usual guest, Chief Executive Officer of Nordica Fertility Center, Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. And also on the show, we'll be having on Zoom later is Health and Fibroid Support Network, Toyin Taiwo. She'll join us in a minute. But let's come to Dr. Ajayi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
Fibroid care. I mean, many Nigerians are very familiar with this term fibroid because obviously it's a benign tumor on the wall of the uterus. I mean, we all know that. But
you're sounding so medical, though.
Yeah, today we don't find for so many times. But the issue is caring for it and also having children with it. The decision for a woman to say, okay, do I take it out first before I have my baby, or do I have it with the baby? These are decisions Nigerians are always very scared about. I'd like you to help us get some clarity on how fibroid grows and how women can still have children with or without fibroid.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Well, fibroids, like you said, is probably the commonest tumor in women of reproductive age group. And so we say that black women have 70 to 80% lifetime risk of having fibroids by the time they're 50 years old. But now, how do we manage it? Of course, the first thing probably is that we must state that most of the time, they are discovered incidentally. Either either you're pregnant, you went for antenatal care, or you're just doing your annual physical, which is something I want women to do. And then you pick up that you have fibroids. But sometimes also, like you said, the question comes in, should we remove it or should we not remove it? And that's $1 million question. One thing I would like to tell people is that it's not every fibroid that you need to remove. So let's settle that. Now, how do you determine these fibroids to treat? Because now the treatment of fibroids is going beyond surgery. So we are looking at so many other things that are coming in. So how do you treat it? Which ones do you even treat? Okay, so maybe we'll look at some things, some factors that have to be present. Okay, do you have symptoms? All right? Because the fact that we just found fibroid on examination doesn't mean that it has to be removed. Okay, so do you have symptoms? Do you want to get pregnant? Because those are the things that will determine what we can do. Where is this fibroid?
Located.
The location of the fibroid, okay. And then, how old are you? Age must always come up.
So when you say, do we have symptoms, what symptoms do you mean exactly? For some women that I've seen, there's this heavy bleeding that is almost making life unbearable. And even though they don't want to have children yet, they're just not living a healthy life. When exactly should you worry? What symptoms should you worry about?
Oh, but you've already mentioned one. That's a symptom, okay? It's affecting your quality of life, all right? And that's probably the most important thing, quality of life. It's not only that you die or you don't die, but quality of life. So once it's affecting your chores, you see some women, when they're menstruating, they can't just do anything. Or they come out with all kinds of contraptions, knowing that it's going to be heavy. I've seen a woman who went to the market only not to return because she fainted in the marketplace because of very heavy flu. So, yeah, once that's the symptom. So the other symptoms are usually related, the commonest are related to menses. Either you have pain, either you have very heavy flu that you said, either it's irregular flu, or for some, they're pressure symptoms. Because the uterus has neighbors, okay? The bladder, the rectum, okay? And so when it gets big, sometimes it compresses on the bladder. For some women, they start having they have prostate. You know, men who have prostate, they can't stay for long. They must visit the loo. So we have some women that it happens to like that. And for some, actually, I've seen a woman who actually went into frank retention. She had a full bladder, and she could not pass it because the fibroid had occluded where the ureter and the bladder joined.
That one has to be removed.
Yeah.
That type has to have to be removed.
Yeah. Okay, well, not necessarily removed now in 2021. There's so many things we can do now.
Yes. So that's where I was going, because another reason a lot of women, Nigerian women, do not go for have it removed because we're afraid of invasive surgery. We want to pray it out. We want to, cast and bind it. So are there new ways, better non-invasive ways to take care of fibroids now?
Yeah, I think that's probably the evolution in the care of fibroids, okay? We've gone from frankly invasive to minimally invasive, and now we are non-invasive, all right? Minimally invasive, what we were calling keyhole surgery, we could do laparoscopy, we could do hysteroscopy, but now we are at the level of non-invasive, where you just lie down on the table, and in about 2 hours, we just say, okay, it's over. Wow. And then you're good to go. Yeah, you rest for about 2 hours in the clinic, because what happens is that we use this machine called HIFU, high-intensity focused ultrasound. So what it does is that it converts ultrasound. Yeah, converts ultrasound to heat energy.
Okay.
So eventually what you're doing is like burning off the fibroids. Okay.
So where does it go when you burn it?
Now, you just kill it.
Okay.
So the body now dissolves it over time.
I have our guest now who's going to be sharing her own story with us. She's a Feminine Health and Fiber Support Network, Toyin Taiwo. Good morning. Are you there? She's the founder.
I am here.
Finally. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Because you have this organization that supports women, especially feminine health. Tell us about it and tell us how you've been able to overcome this condition of fibroid.
Oh, wow. This charity support network was birthed from my own personal journey of fibroid, really. And we're called Feminine Health and Fibroid Support Network. When I was going through, there was a gap where I was looking for a place where I can go and have a bit of hand-holding, a place where I can hear someone else talk about their story or their experience, and I can know that I'm not alone, and also that I can also know that I am not going to die from this, that this, there's someone there somewhere else where you can go and just know that other people are going through as well, and that you're just going to be okay, you're going to be fine. Yeah. But more than that, also a place where I can do a lot of learning, because some of the things during my journey that some of the learning and information that I got later on, if I had it earlier, I probably wouldn't have to end up the way I ended. I have had to hysterectomy. And funny enough, and good morning, ladies. I'm a fan of this show, especially my husband. He's the one who watches it all the time. And when I was going through, it was an interview that you had with Inse that helped me, go through this, because she came on and talked about, how she had hysterectomy and people, called her names and all of that. And funny enough, I was at that time searching for a place, somewhere, a hub. I live in the UK, and even there was nothing. I was desperate. And my husband found that video, and she said in that video, something I held on to, because I was scared when I was about to go and have my hysterectomy. Well, something Inse said was that she's had it and her life is not over, and she's living a fantastic life. And I thought, okay, oh wow, this is one woman who's done it, and she says it's okay, and her life finished after it.
Right. Thank you very much for that. We'll come back to you in a minute. That's very profound. Yes, BC, go ahead.
So I remember as a young girl, I used to have this very heavy menstrual cycle, bleeding. I would faint in school. They would take me out, take me home. They would give me this intravenous injections just to stabilize me, and it happened every month. And I went to the doctor one of the days, and the first question he asked me if I had fibroid. And I said no. And he said, every woman has fibroid. It's what comes with you, but it gets to a stage where some grow and others don't. So is it really what comes with you? Does every woman have it, whether it grows into a tumor or not?
No, not every woman has it. So you have to grow it. So it's not as if it's present in you and you just have to feed it. No.
So it grows. But are there preventive ways that you can avoid having fibroid?
Well, let's look at what causes fibroids so we can see whether we can prevent it. Because mainly it's one, race. Those are the risk factors. Two, your genes. Okay. And seriously, very little you can do about that, those two. But there's some things that we think might also lead to it. Alcohol, red meat, excessive red meat, obesity might predispose you to fibroids, But most of the things, they're beyond what you can do anything about.
So you mentioned non-invasive methods now for treatment. Are there some cases that require no matter what invasive? Because when I see fibroids removed from family members, especially the one I saw recently, it's so big. I don't believe such a procedure would
be non-invasive.
So
can just shrink.
Are there such cases that it's not possible that you can do non-invasive for?
Yes, there's some cases we have to choose our cases properly. But now, I've been a gynecologist. I'll sound old, but I've been a gynecologist for over 30 years. All right. But in the last 3 months, the kind of fibroids I've seen, because we started in June, the kind of fibroids I've seen, I never imagined that they were here. I'd seen big fibroids in my time. But I'm seeing bigger fibroids now, for Christ's sake. So that tells me one thing. There are a lot of women out there who, just like she said, are afraid of surgery, whatever you want. So some of these people, what we have done is to combine methods for them, okay? They have very huge fibroids, but it can be broken down into pieces and say, look, if we combine this minimally invasive with non-invasive, then we can get what we want to get. Do you understand? So it's like sitting down is now like plotting to see what is the best way to treat this fibroid, rather than before, when everything, all we had was nails.
Just one.
Right.
So everything has to be...
Yeah, hammer.
Let me go to Toyin for Taiwo, because Toyin, are you still there?
I am here.
So
I can hear you.
How was your condition such that you needed help, you needed support, you needed a support system? What kind of fibroid did you have? Where was it? And what kind of treatment did you have?
Okay, so I was bleeding profusely. I was bleeding nonstop for 2 years. I did not have a good quality of life. So that was when I started looking for major help, someone who's going through what I'm going through. Because for 2 years, I was bleeding heavily, the kind of bleeding that in my home, I couldn't sit in any kind of chair. It has to be a wiped down kind of chair. And so it was heavy, and I just didn't have good quality of life. So that was when I started looking for help, and I was looking for all the options. And it was on this journey. But remember that even though I knew that I had fibroid earlier, well, I was first told about fibroid, that I had fibroid about 23 or 4. But I asked what the consequences of that was. I said, oh, don't worry about it. They're small, nothing to worry about. But as I grew older and trying for children, I noticed I was having a lot of issues, because this was a lot of miscarriages and all of that. And then I was fortunate, I have got 2 children. But after that, so I knew I had fibroids. I was managing it. Heavy flow was one of my own conditions. So, I mean, I was managing it until, because of lack of information, I started a healthy lifestyle. And I started drinking soy milk. And all of a sudden, everything went AWOL. And I wasn't sure what the problem was, but I didn't know that for someone who's got fibroid, drinking soya milk is a no-no, because soya milk's got estrogen, and estrogen feeds your fibroids and makes them bigger. Wow. So I just started bleeding nonstop. Let me get
one more question in for you. Go ahead.
Okay, Toyin, so when you were going through your own journey, you sort of did it alone. What specific support does your organization give to women now, given all that you had to go through by yourself? So what is it that you're doing for the women in your community now?
Awesome. Thank you for that. So what we're doing is we have a hub of around 120 women now. So it's just hand-holding. After having gone through my own hysterectomy, I've helped and mentored women. I mean, and sometimes just as little as a phone call to say, how are you today? Are you going to be okay? Do you need my help? Do you need to? I mean, you can't do that for everyone. But if we have a hub or a community of women, and that's what we're trying to grow to, just make sure there's a little bit of little hubs in all of the places where we're touching. And there's someone who can call you to say, are you okay? Someone who's gone through. And in our hub, we're sharing our story, we're sharing our experiences. It was in the hub. I used to have the biggest Santi towel, during my period. It's called 10 a night. And I thought that was the biggest anyone can have, and that was my normal. I was using it day and night. Sometimes I would double it. But in that hub, I found out that some women wear diapers. For me, that blew me away. I was like, oh my God. So in the community, it's just coming together as women, helping each other on the journey, people who are still going through. And also food is important, because I didn't know anything. I started drinking soy milk. So in there, we have gynecologists, we have lifestyle coaches, we have dietitians who help women. Women can come and ask questions. Thursdays, we have a Q&A with a professional where we get our women to just ask the questions and all whatever you're going.
All right, Taiwo, thank you very much. I wanted the doctor to address the issue of nutrition, the kinds of things you can eat during this period that can help or prevent or reduce. And also, I'd like you to add that, would you like to say something?
No, I always stay clear of nutrition because I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a gynecologist. So And nutrition is something I always stay clear of because it's neither here nor there.
Do you also know some natural supplements that may help?
Those are things also, see, I'm a scientist, unfortunately. It's only the things that are proven, that I deal with.
Right. So, Dr. since you're a gynecologist, let me now take you to the issue of religion, because there are lots of women who are pregnant, and because of religion, they have faith, and they don't want to do any kind of procedure. They just believe that, listen, I have this child, I'm a Hebrew woman.
That's a lie. Hebrew woman is a lie. The foundation is a lie. They told them, they told the king that they were having, these Hebrew women were having children without assistance. It was not true.
It was a lie, so that they don't get killed. We've said it here before.
Right, so, you remember that, yes. But, okay, but the point I'm trying to make is that there are women who are religious, who are saying, I'm not going to go under any procedure, I don't want any laser, I just want to have faith. I believe I'm going to have this child regardless. So I want you to speak to somebody like that who is in between decision. Like, I have a fibroid with like maybe 5 pounds or 5 kg fibroid in my stomach, and I just want to have children. What would you advise that person right now?
Go listen to a professional. Talk to a proper professional. You know, maybe have 2 views.
Right.
All right? And then make up your mind. You see, I've never seen anybody who has appendicitis and then takes it somewhere else apart from the hospital. You understand? When you have a medical condition, the proper place to go to is the hospital. And I say also to many of my patients, I've never seen anybody who has a Mercedes-Benz who takes it to a Toyota mechanic. Do you understand? So the doctor that you choose also to look after you is so important. If you need a gynecologist, you cannot go to an orthopedic surgeon and expect to get good results.
One of the, most of the general hospitals that we see, do they practice this non-invasive procedure of removing fibroids that you talk about? Because I wanted to know how popular it is.
Yeah.
I have seen a case of a myomectomy that cost the person her uterus. So how successful?
No, we are putting too many questions.
Is it popular?
Is it readily available?
No, see the funny thing is that this is the 3rd machine in the whole of Africa.
What?
It's
not popular.
Thank you for that question.
No. Because of the cost.
Yes, we get it.
Because of the cost. But you see, what I tell people is that...
We've been building castles in the air since morning.
No, it's available.
Now. That's why
it's available.
So is it
but they used to be readily available.
They used to be
See,
zero.
let us get some things. Exactly.
Yes.
Because I get confused when you see, when you are in a society where nothing exists.
Exactly, and then something comes.
And then something comes. And the next thing you want everybody to come on board. It's not going to happen immediately. So let us go through the process. But we started.
So wait, let me be sure I understand. We have to go. So there are some people today that have fibroid that might still have the invasive procedures because this machine is not readily available for everybody.
Yes,
that's
not affordable too.
It's not affordable here, but those who can afford it and those who have access and get it.
There used to be a time that this was not an option. Now you have an option.
Right. Okay.
So that's
we are treating the 50th patient on Friday in Lagos.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
We'll get there, sir. We're hopeful.
We'll get there. It's good news. It's bittersweet. So we know, yes, we're happy it's there, but we're still worried that 200-something million Nigerians, you have this one machine.
Not 200-something million have fibroid.
West Africa.
You see why people have to deploy their faith.
Access now.
The whole of Africa was 3.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for coming to this show. Anytime you come to the show, it's always an interesting conversation with you. That's all we can take on today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.